I'm hanging out with resident bookworm Audrey Chirenje. Good morning, Audrey.
Candace, how are you today?
Good, how are you?
Amazing.
Right?
Yes.
Love it. Now, we are talking about the book, The Boardroom, Strategies for Effective Decision-Making and Leadership by Shingie Munyoro. Now, I know this says The Boardroom, but it does cut across a lot of things, and we will be going into that as we talk about it. But before that, tell me a little bit about Shingie.
So Shingie is he's a CEO of his own company. He's got a lot of corporate experience. He's also an author. He's got 3 other books. This is his 4th book. He's also a poet. And a fitness trainer. Amazing.
Shingie's doing a lot.
So he's actually doing a lot. And I think for me, even then reading the book, and he says it took 10 years to write this book.
Oh, wow.
So it comes with a lot of research, a lot of personal experience, and a lot of knowledge that is seen across the years.
Definitely, and you can see that, you know, from just everything that you've said, he's very rounded in a lot of spheres. So there is insight from a lot of different dynamics that come into play, not just as you're going through the corporate circles, but also just in life as you go about it.
Definitely.
Now, tell us what the aim of this book is. What is he doing with this?
Okay, so from the aim of the book, he was trying to give insights of what happens in the boardroom, the actual boardroom that we all know, but then it applies to the corporate setting. And I think, like what you're saying, it applies even to a personal setting, someone with a small SME, a church setting, and even a family setting. That's how I looked at it, because we all make these decisions every day, and they apply to all these settings.
Let's look at some of the, before we go into some of the actual the topics that are in the book itself. Let's break it down to, so when you say the boardroom, for example, look, we've given it that formal structure, that formal setup, because mostly when you associate the boardroom, you're associating with a big organization, you're associating with some form of structure, you're associating it with the CEO sitting at the head of the table, but we're equating it as well to different spheres of life. I mean, your dining table at home has the same dynamic. Why is it important that we find this balance in looking at some of these things that we read about?
I love the dining room analogy that you made, because you find that even in the home, communication is critical. Just as it is critical in the organization, it's also critical at home, also in a church setting, even on a personal setting. Then there's also the conflict resolution. This is everywhere, yeah? Yeah. And it needs to be managed. And then you find in an office or an organization setting, there's the what you call it? The
groups, the setups, the politics that takes place in and around the office. Yeah.
Office politics. So there's the groups. And then he's also talking about how you need to be careful about this, how you need to remain neutral, and how you need to also manage it, because when people speak, even the whole communication, they speak from their own point of view. But then as a leader, as someone working there, you need to always remain neutral and understand the background.
And we forget that people only show us the side of them that they want us to see, don't we? So we go into these things and we're often very blinded by, especially when you're new in a space, the dynamic hits you very quickly that, okay, so this is what is being said, this is a perception, it's a perception. And until you actually hear the other side or have the time to hear the other side, it's very easy to get tipped over in a direction you shouldn't be tipping over in the first place.
100%. So I think it's always key to remain professional. Yes.
How do you remain professional at home?
So
guys, today politics as well. It's not new.
It's not new. Even with politics, you know, there's the extended family, even your own personal, you know, I've got 3 kids, I'm always saying, and all of them, they're so different in how they approach things. So you need to also study them and understand them. And even when you're communicating to them, you will know how to communicate with them.
Yeah. Yes. Now, you know, actually, I love that you raised that, you know, you, like, for example, you've got 3 kids. We also have the interesting space that is teenagehood. And you're growing from teenager to young adult into adult. And you also go through your different sphere of politics in your social circles, in the family as well, because you've got all these people you are exposed to, and they all have their different dynamics. And then also now entering into a formal employment working space. What do our younger ones learn from this?
So I think we'll just go back to communication. I think communication is I would say it's the most important subject. That's why even in every college, communication is part of your level 1. Because if you don't articulate what you want to do or what you're trying to say, and then ensure that the other person has heard you correctly, there will always be chaos after that. So you find that even with your teenagers, like what you're trying to say, and in the office setup, you find that there are those bullies. You know, there are bullies in the office place.
The ones who have no respect for your time whatsoever.
And they know everything, yeah?
Yeah.
Because you can never know everything.
Yeah.
So you always, every time when you speak, you must always speak from a place of you want others to share their opinions. And then you're also listening. We've got people who listen with an answer already. They haven't even understood what the other person is saying. They've got an answer already. So I think communication just cuts across everywhere. We need to communicate effectively.
Right. And then there's one more thing before I let you go that I want us to look at very quickly, because again, we're looking at the office space and we're looking at home, because I'm loving these comparisons, so I'm running with it. But you've got the art of delegation. Mom, executive, how do you start to figure that out, especially when it's a new space?
I think, you know, like you said, even from home, even from church, you can't do everything. If you just understand that point, you'll be fine. So whether you're the CEO of a company, you're not going to be able to do everything. You need people on the ground to be doing things. And then even if you've got your own particular role, there are things where you need to reach out to your colleagues and ask for help. And then everything will be better.
And it's absolutely okay.
It's okay. It's allowed. It's actually part of, that's what he's saying in this book, that delegation is needed in every setup.
Absolutely. Audrey, where are we getting our hands on this book?
This book, it's available at D24 Eastgate Complex. And then if you reach across to Shingie Munyoro across social media, you can also do a delivery.
All right. Thank you very much. So the book is The Boardroom, Strategies for Effective Decision-Making and Leadership. As you've heard from our discussion, it is a discussion that cuts across the board. It is not just for your boardroom